So if you just put your mic on mute while I talk, actually no, it's okay.
Yeah. Okay.
But if it's ruffling, I'll just say it to you, and then you can.
Sure.
Okay. So what I'm going to do in this video is give you an outline of why you might want to study nutritional therapy at the IHS, and then I'll give you an overview of the program itself.
Mm-hmm.
So the first thing, why study nutritional therapy at the IHS? So first of all, I suppose is the thing is to consider is to look at, well, what exactly is nutritional therapy? So nutritional therapy, it's the application of nutrition science in the promotion of optimum health. And nutritional therapists, they basically use a wide range of tools to assess and identify potential nutritional, lifestyle, and environmental and genetic factors contributing to an individual's health concerns. The role of the nutritional therapist is to assess the nutrition, lifestyle, and environmental factors that may be contributing to an individual's health concerns. And they do that using the functional medicine model and their approach. So our course is underpinned with the principles of functional medicine. And in functional medicine, this was a model of healthcare developed in the early 90s by scientists and doctors who were kind of using Western interventions in terms of trying to use nutrition and lifestyle to support individuals with chronic disease, but then also integrating complementary therapies into their practice as well. So maybe using herbs, be it Western or Eastern herbs, acupuncture, and different things like that. Now, a functional medicine practitioner won't necessarily use, let's say, complementary therapies, but a lot of them would be open to them. And the real premise of functional medicine is that many diseases are caused by the same underlying disordered physiology. And at the core of that is nutrition, lifestyle, environmental factors kind of leading to that dysfunction. And it's with the factors combined with our genes. But functional medicine would, and this isn't even a belief. We now know that your genes don't determine your phenotype or what happens to your body. Its epigenetics is really important. So what your genes are bathed in is just as important. And that's what epigenetics is. It's looking at how the environment influences the expression of genes. So what we do in nutritional therapy is we basically use a wide range of tools. So we use the timeline and the matrix, which I'll show you in a second, as well as taking a really comprehensive case history, doing a very comprehensive diet analysis, and also functional tests to assess what nutrition, lifestyle, and environmental factors could be influencing their health concerns. And then based on the therapist's evaluation, they'll then use nutrition and lifestyle interventions to support all the body systems. So they're not treating disease at all. What we're aiming to do is support or create the right environment to allow the body to kind of innately come back to a state of what we call homeostasis or balance. So that's what a nutritional therapist does. And as I've said, they use different tools from the Institute of Functional Medicine. So this is a timeline. So what the therapist will do is they will gather information about the individual's life story and the different factors that they've been exposed to over the course of their life. So they'll start with looking at their current health concerns, but then also different health concerns or not imbalances, but sometimes this client might, let's say, come to see the therapist for bloating and constipation. But they also have a thyroid condition that they're using medication, and their intention isn't, let's say, to try and help the low thyroid with nutrition. However, the nutritional therapist will want to gather all the information about their health history, and they'll plot that here. And then what they'll try to do is to see, well, what were the different triggering events that may have triggered different health conditions or imbalances in health along the way. So they might look at, as I said, nutrition factors, and infections can be a trigger, a long course of antibiotics, stress, and there's a lot of social triggers. So a lot of the time somebody might have a very difficult life event. They might have lost a family member or have been in a car crash, and they've never really been the same since. So that they're trying to help to identify the triggers and then look at what can be resolved. So this is the timeline. I'm not going to go into all of the detail on it. I just want to show you the different kind of tools that the nutritional therapist uses. This is another tool that we use. It's the functional medicine matrix. So the functional medicine matrix is where the nutritional therapist will plot information about the clinical imbalances, or what we call the physiological imbalances that the individual is experiencing. And they're grouped here. So IFM has kind of grouped different categories of physiological imbalances into these categories. So defense and repair, energy, biotransformation and elimination, transport, communication, structural integrity, and assimilation. And so the therapist will plot this information here. They'll also plot information about the individual's lifestyle, so their sleep, their movement, nutrition, stress, and relationships. And they also plot information here, what we call the antecedents, triggers, and mediators. I'm not going to go into, as I said, all the detail of what that actually means now, because it's way beyond the scope of our conversation. But this is what basically what you guys will learn in nutritional therapy, is how to do this. So the nutritional therapist comes up with a case evaluation, and they'll also use some not always, but sometimes functional testing, so that we can now look at the gut microbiota and what different populations of bacteria are present in an individual because of advanced technology. And you can look at specific thyroid panels to look at how the thyroid's functioning, or female hormone profiles. There's also an extensive way now of testing to see what the nutritional status of an individual is. So all of these different tests you'll learn about on the course, and they can be used to tailor or personalize the interventions that the nutritional therapist uses. So what then is the difference, let's say, between a nutrition and lifestyle coach and a nutritional therapist? So the nutritional lifestyle coach actually has a very, very important range of skills that forms the basis of what a nutritional therapist does. Because if you think about it, the bread and butter of what a nutritional therapist does is being able to analyze an individual's diet and lifestyle and create a really good meal plan and lifestyle recommendations. So the nutritional and lifestyle in year one, or what we call NLC, this is what you guys are learning to do. And you've also learned about some basic supplements that you can recommend, and really importantly, specific communication skills that you can use to coach an individual in making these changes. So what a nutritional therapist does is those skills that you've learned in year one, they'll then build on or add to extensively in years 2, 3, and 4. So a nutritional therapist will use all of the skills, and they'll work with clients with much more complex conditions. They might work with people who have chronic fatigue syndrome, or rheumatoid arthritis, or Alzheimer's. And as I said, they'll do is they'll analyze the physiological function of the client, and they'll do that using the timeline and the matrix, which I just mentioned there, biochemical testing, but also something called the IHS clinical imbalances charts as well. So whereas an NLC is analyzing an individual's diet and their lifestyle, a nutritional therapist is analyzing an individual's diet, lifestyle, and their physiologies to a certain extent. They also conduct a much more in-depth analysis of the toxins that a client may be exposed to. So, we're now, they say, swimming in a sea of toxins, but there's thousands of toxins, synthetic man-made toxins in the environment now. And research has shown that some of them have the potential to have a very detrimental effect on the body. So the nutritional therapist will conduct a really in-depth analysis of the toxins the client's exposed to if there is an indication that toxic exposure is causing imbalances within the individual. So that's what they'll analyze. And then they'll also go and create a stage therapeutic plan, which I've kind of mentioned, that includes therapeutic diet. So you learn about how to use the ketogenic diet, the elimination diet. So there's a number of different elimination diets. There's kind of the gold standard one for trying to assess if an individual has a sensitivity. But then there's also elimination diets like the FODMAPs diet, which can be used for people who've got small intestinal bowel overgrowth. And there's the histamine diet, which is a really restrictive diet, and no one will want to be on a long term, but it can be used for a short period of time, whilst the nutritional therapist is helping to support the individual in correcting other aspects of their physiology that are allowing histamine to build up. And then diets like the Mediterranean diet as well. So you get to learn about a huge range of therapeutic diets, and then how to support a client in following through with them. What's really important as well with the certain therapeutic diets, they may lead an individual to be more deficient in specific nutrients, like specifically with the elimination diet. So, using software and making sure that the diet's short term, you learn how to make sure that an elimination diet doesn't lead to food or nutrient deficiencies. And you guys will also learn, so in nutritional therapy, year 3, there's a real strong emphasis on functional foods. These are foods that have the ability to have a positive effect on physiological function. Obviously, all food does is, but some have a more powerful effect than others. So, for example, take kefir or kombucha, for example, that can be really helpful in helping to replenish beneficial gut bacteria. Sprouted broccoli can actually be used to induce the production of enzymes in the liver that can help with metabolism or biotransformation of toxins. So you learn about functional foods in a lot of detail, also practitioner grade supplements. So whereas in NLC, you're using kind of basic supplements as a starting point, in NT2 and 3, you learn really a lot of detail about how to create supplement plans that might use, for example, things like N-acetylcysteine, which can be used to help increase glutathione status in an individual. A huge range like whey protein, glutamine to help heal the gut lining. They're just, they're a really important part of your toolkit. And then lifestyle recommendations as well. However, the lifestyle recommendations that you're learning now in year 1 will really stand to you in the rest of the course. They're really important. That kind of basic foundation is very important for a nutritional therapist. So that's the difference between a nutritional lifestyle coach and a nutritional therapist. Before I move on, do you have any questions on that?
No, that's pretty clear, Maria.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Great. I'm just going to show you, because this is a case study and we do have time, so I'm just going to run through to show you the difference between an NT and an NLC. So let's say we have this 26-year-old Caucasian woman here, and she goes to see an NLC for weight loss. She's got a BMI of 31, constipation and bloating. So the NLC works with the individual, works with the lady, and she sees that these are a number of changes that she could make to her diet that might help to help her to lose weight and improve her digestive function. So that involves switching from refined carbohydrates to whole grains, increasing non-starchy vegetables to 5 portions a day, increasing nuts and seeds, but within a certain calorie restriction, reducing processed food, and increasing water. Okay. And this lady's agreed to start walking, or wants to start walking daily, and she's going to work out with a personal trainer. She's decided to take a multivitamin and probiotic. So after about 3 consultations over 3 months, her general energy has improved and she's feeling better. Her constipation has been alleviated, but her bloating, whilst it's slightly reduced, it's still there. And whilst she lost some weight, she now feels she's a bit static and she wants to lose more, but doesn't think that her weight loss reflects her current diet and lifestyle. So it seems like for what she's eating, she should be losing weight quicker, So the NLC has created a really good foundation for this lady, but now there seems to be something in her physiology that is stopping her from moving forward. So she refers her to an NT. So the client is referred to an NT, and what the NT, more information that the NT gathers is that this person actually has PMS, so they've got really heavy periods and breast tenderness, and whilst it's improved mildly, it's still there. Where she holds her weight, or where the weight distribution is around the hips, and she also has some eczema. So as a result of conducting a thorough information gathering session, the NT considers that these might be the underlying imbalances that this lady is experiencing. So she might have a high toxic load. There seems to be some sort of biotransformation imbalance where she's not processing her estrogen effectively. She may have food sensitivities because she has this bloating, and as a result, dysbiosis may be present as well. And there's a question of intestinal permeability. So this is where there's kind of gaps in the intestinal lining.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a number of reasons why the NT thinks this, but one of them is because she has eczema. So a lot of the time, if you have immune dysregulation, it can originate in the digestive tract. It's also clear that she's got estrogen dominance, and she's questioned her low thyroid. However, her energy is quite good, and she has been referred to the GP to test to make sure her thyroid is working optimally. Mm-hmm. So you can see here that these are imbalances that, let's say, the NLC wouldn't have developed the knowledge to be able to ascertain, do you know, yet? So this is kind of the difference. So this is then how the NT worked with this lady over 3 consultations, or we call these stages. So usually when you're working with someone, you'll work with them over at least 3 stages, or 2 anyway. And actually sometimes, depending on how unwell the person is you might actually have you might have like 3 consultations for stage 1, let's say. Okay. Mm-hmm. So this then is how this lady worked with the NT. So the first thing that the NT wanted to do was to assess is actually intestinal permeability and dysbiosis present. So she recommended that the lady do a CDSA, a comprehensive digestive stool analysis test, and an intestinal permeability test, and also to do an elimination diet to see if there's any food sensitivities. Okay, so this was her way of investigating further what digestive imbalances were present. Okay. Mm-hmm. And then what she wanted to make sure was that to support her nutrient status for her skin barrier, because the skin barrier function is really important for maintaining optimum lining to prevent microbes aggravating eczema. So she supplemented with GLA, so high levels of GLA, which is an omega-6 fatty acid, EPA, and also zinc. And then she also wanted to support the lady in really addressing her biotransformation. So she reduced her alcohol intake, and she really chose to try and avoid plastics, because there can be what we call here xenoestrogens in plastics, and that can lead to an increase in the estrogen load of the system. And the lady also chose to eat organic where possible, and she considered looking at her cosmetics, because again, there can be estrogens in cosmetics. So that was stage 1. And then in stage 2, based on the test results came back, let's say, and this lady did have a dysbiosis present. So she agreed to supplement with antimicrobials and then probiotics for dysbiosis. The intestinal lining was also damaged. So after a while, so once you kind of remove the bad bacteria in support of the good bacteria and also avoid food sensitivities, the client supplemented with nutrients to support the intestinal lining to help it heal. So vitamin A and D, glutamine, and butyric acid. Mm-hmm. So that was stage 2. And then in stage 3, the biotransformation, and the NT wanted to support this lady in eliminating her estrogen, because with weight gain, a lot of the time, if people have a lot of weight around the hips and there's a resistance to weight loss, even though let's say her diet, the amount of calories she's eating every day and the balance of her blood sugar is optimal, if there's a resistance to weight around the hips, it can be a buildup of estrogen in the system. So basically this lady recommended specific foods, so functional foods, including cruciferous vegetables, green tea, vegetables containing sulfur, like onions and garlic, whey protein, to all support phase 2 pathways that help to metabolize estrogen. And also to supplement with DIM, which is diindolylmethane, calcium D-glucarate, and methyl tetrahydrofolate. So methyl tetrahydrofolate is a methylated form of folate. It just means there's this methyl group attached to it. Okay. So these were all the different things that they use. And you can see it's using food to support these pathways to help to remove estrogen and to bring it down, and hopefully to help shift the weight. And you see, the thing is, as well as inflammation will result in the system holding on to weight more as well. So hopefully what you can see is the NLC did a really good job in kind of creating a foundation with this lady. So really cleaning up her diet, supporting her making these changes, supporting her improving her lifestyle and her exercise. And she got to a certain point with the NLC, working with the NLC, but then the NLC decided that she needed a bit more. She needed to work with someone to look at her physiology because there was something obviously kind of in a barrier in the way.
Sure.
And that is the difference. So hopefully that gives you a good idea of the difference between an NLC and an NT.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, would an NT be, I mean, you're really looking at blood results and stool test results and all that kind of stuff as well, right? It's not just deriving it from a questionnaire, I guess.
Yeah. So you'd be using the CDSA, using nutrient. It's like here, that's a test result there. That's the CDSA is a test result.
Okay.
You could realistically, if someone had, you could supplement, you could test for zinc.
Sure.
There. You know, that's key. She could have done a female hormone panel to see what her female hormone levels were. So testing is a key part of it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So in terms of career opportunities for NTs then, so they've similar opportunities to an NLC, such as like a lot of NTs will go on to set up a practice and they might work independently or they might join a healthcare clinic. So for example, what are they called? The Marilyn Glenville Clinic is a female, is a clinic in Dublin that, and actually all over Ireland, that has a number of practitioners working with individuals with fertility issues.
Sure.
So that a lot of the NTs will work independently. They'll also maybe work in product development, like a lot of our NLCs. So we've got students who've created 2 products. So we've got one of our students has created an ice cream made out of kefir, and he's doing really well. Like, he's in super value. Another of our students has created vegan home ready meals. So there's a big scope for product development, and then the media as well. So like we've one of our graduates works on writing articles, another works in radio. But now the lady who works in journalism, she already worked in journalism, and this is just another string to her bow. Yep. Whereas Gemma wasn't in radio before, but she now has a radio slot once a week, where she has a nutrition slot. Okay. And then in terms of the different opportunities, so as I said, they will be in private practice for more complex cases. NTs will be more likely to get jobs in supplement companies than NLCs, because they're most of the time they want someone who's done 3 years study. Mm-hmm. So a lot of our NTs have worked in supplement companies. So we've got Viridian, Nutri, loads of different supplement companies. Also in education institutes. So most education institutes would hire someone who would have a diploma, a level 6 diploma.
Yeah.
And then also in biomedical testing companies as well. So these are kind of different. They're the kind of the difference. So you can see that it's probably after studying for 3 years, there will be more opportunities to work for companies, whereas there's nothing to stop anyone going out as an NLC and setting up a business straight away. It's more likely to get employment. Yeah. Like NLCs, you can go out and set up as an NLC and do really well. We've got people doing great work. But in terms of getting jobs within, let's say, supplement companies or biomedical testing companies, they're going to be more likely to hire someone with further education.
Okay.
So that is the why study the NT diploma. I'll now give you an overview of the diploma itself, so how exactly it's broken down. Before I do start on this PowerPoint, do you have any more questions?
No, I mean, that's pretty much what I kind of expected, to be honest, Maura, and it's no, and it is good, the idea of being a little bit more targeted, I guess, towards those specific problems and stuff. Yeah.
Okay, great. So this is then the NT diploma and how it's taught. So it's a 3.5-year program. It's a practitioner training program, and as I've said, it's underpinned with the principles of functional medicine. So that's important. Mm-hmm. We do recommend you study 15 hours per week. However, I am aware at the moment you are recommended to study 10, but I think realistically you probably need to do 15.
Sure.
But we do aim to do 15, max maybe 20 hours a week. And overall, in the whole 3.5 years, you'll do over 250 hours of clinical practice. Mm-hmm. And you have the option to do our program completely online if you want. There's also in class. You can also do blended. So we have some students that do everything online, but for the clinical practice units in year 2 and 3 and in year 4, they've chosen to be they come to the venue. However, you don't need to do that.
Okay.
So that is the overview. As I've said, this is how we've broken it down. So this is the IHS Nutritional Therapy Consultation Framework. So you might be a little bit familiar or see with this in terms of within NLC, the
Sure.
consultation.
Yeah.
So we did this about 5 years ago, and we decided to break the consultation down into stages, and within each stage include guidelines of action steps to take and how to move through it. And also there's specific paperwork associated with each stage. And we found that it's really helped the students. So they found it's a really good support whilst they're finding their feet in clinic. Some of them have also found it to be a good business model for working. And other people have found that it's quite helpful in, what's the word? It just was kind of knowing. So for example, these are the 5 stages. So the first one is pre-consultation information gathering. The second is information gathering. The third is interpretation. And these 3 stages are taught in nutritional therapy year 2, and they're weaved into theoretical units, and then they're also taught as standalone units. And so when you end up in the detail of info gathering, having this kind of framework that you can look at kind of helps to orientate you, and so that you know that you'll be coming back up for air soon.
Yeah.
Otherwise you can just get lost in this, and you kind of have to trust us,
Yeah.
And then the second half of the consultation, creating a stage therapeutic plan or a potential one, and then explaining your findings and co-creating an individualized therapeutic plan is taught in year 3.
Okay.
So year 2 is all about working out how the individual has gotten to this state of health. And the year 3 is all about creating interventions to support them. And this is kind of an overview of the whole diploma. So as I said, it's 3.5 years, and the first year of the diploma is you're already doing it. It's the nutritional lifestyle coaching. And this is a UK level 4, as I'm sure you're aware. The second year of the diploma, it's also a standalone diploma in its own right. So it's UK level 5, and it's the diploma in nutrition, lifestyle, and chronic disease. And then the third year is another diploma. It's a diploma in personalized nutrition and therapeutics, and that then runs over. That basically encompasses year 3 and all of the clinical practice units in years 2, 3, and 4. This is a clip. So that's kind of an overview there. And then the year 4, it's half a year. So basically what happens in that year is you're put into a care group of 4. And you're in that care group for the year. And so basically you take 6 consultations where you see real life clients, members of the public. And you'll take a consultation, and then you'll observe 3 of your peers doing the same. So it's a really good learning experience. This is in the presence of a clinical practice mentor. So the mentor will really support you. They're there to help you. That's why they're called a mentor. So when you take the consultation, you'll gather the information, and then the client will either leave the room or you'll leave the webinar. And you'll explain to your mentor what you think is going on and your plan to work with this client. And the mentor will give you feedback, and then you'll then explain to the client what you think is happening, and you'll co-create a set of recommendations with them. And it's such a good learning experience, because basically you have the support of your mentor whilst you're doing it. If you do anything that's not safe, they'll step in and intervene. That happens rarely, but it's good to know that support is there. And then also you have the support of your peers. So you end up becoming very close with your group. And not only do you learn by taking a case, but you also really learn by watching and observing 3 other people. And saying, okay, they've done that, I might do that differently, or oh my god, they've done that really well, that's something that I could maybe incorporate into my clinic. So it's a fantastic learning experience, and most of the students say that it all comes together for them in year 4, because that's when you're really getting down, you're applying everything that you've learned over the 3.5 years. So that is an overview of the diploma.
So just, sorry, Maura, one real quick question on that slide. It looks to me like there's a separate qualification almost in year 2 and further qualification in year 3. Is that the way it's structured?
Yeah, so the years are kind of standalone. So the diploma in personalized. So basically, the nutritional therapy diploma itself is the IHS nutritional therapy diploma, and that encompasses the whole 3.5 years.
Okay.
But actually within it are 3 accredited standalone diplomas.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when you qualify, the course that you've done is the diploma in personalized nutrition and therapeutics, this standalone one here.
Yeah.
And that's a clinical practice one. Now, if you leave, there's a non-clinical practice stream to that as well. So if at the end of the 3rd year, you don't actually want to do clinical practice, you can leave the non-clinical diploma in personalized nutrition and therapeutics.
Okay. And I guess theoretically, you could also leave after year 2 with a diploma in nutrition, lifestyle, and chronic disease.
You could, yeah. The only thing with this is you have kind of only gotten half the information.
Yeah. No, I get it.
You can't really, so to work as a nutritional therapist, you have to have done all 3.5 years.
Yeah. Okay. Yep.
So that is it. Dermot, any other questions?
Yeah, I mean, there's kind of the practical questions then after that, more about the timing of the course and structure of it in terms of, because I'll be honest with you, I mean, I could do a little break at the end of the NLC course, you know?
Yeah, and it is a tight turnaround.
Mm.
So there is, like, unfortunately at the moment, that is the
way it is. Yeah.
The way it is. You know, what we would encourage you to do is to make sure that you get your case studies done on time.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, that's the way it is at the moment. And
the course itself then, so say year 2, that would run from September until when?
Until July. Mid-July, yeah. If you finish.
And then you have a break, I guess, from July till the following September. Is it?
Yeah, you've got about a 2-month break.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. And is there any, in terms of cost, do you know what the costs are off the top of your head? Or I guess I could check on the website as well. Yeah.
I'll post them to you. I don't know the exact, I think it's either it's 3,825.
Yeah, okay, great, yeah. Okay. And any idea when we need to make a decision? Not this week, I'm guessing.
No, there isn't a specific deadline, you know?
Yeah, okay. So it's before the course begins, I guess. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Very good, very good.
That is it. So if you've any more questions or, ask me on the forum or anything, you can post there. I know you guys are in it.
No, I appreciate the time, Maura, absolutely. It's very good. It's very good, yeah.
Okay, brilliant. Well, listen, have a lovely evening.
Yeah, you too. I'm sure we'll talk again.
And if you have any questions, as I said, just make sure you can ask us at all.
Yeah. Brilliant.
Thanks, Janet.
Thanks a million.